All right, welcome back to another Prospects Live 2021 draft interview. On the hot seat today is Josh Hartle, left-handed pitcher out of North Carolina. Josh, welcome to the show.
Thank you guys for having me. Appreciate it.
Absolutely, man. Joe, anything to say?
Sir.
I'll let you jump in and have the honorary first question here with Josh.
All right. So, Josh, you opened a lot of eyes this summer. Everyone knew about your projectable frame, your easy mechanics, and you know how fluid and projectable you are. But you performed. You performed at every level. You performed at every stop, and all of your stuff seemed to tick up a little bit. So, why don't we just kind of open the floor to you? Tell us about your summer. Tell us about the perfect game events, and kind of where you go from here.
Yeah, so not really having a high school season this year. I had one outing. It was kind of difficult, kind of to start out, my first event at PG National. It was kind of intense, I guess you could say, being my first event on kind of the national stage, facing a bunch of good guys and good players. But throughout the summer, I pretty much I feel like I ticked up, kind of got more comfortable because usually I have about 10 starts in high school, so I kind of know what I need to work on throughout the summer, but this year was a little different. But, I went to PG National and then East Coast Pro. I went to a WWBA, and, I learned a lot from those. I feel like I really ticked up going to East Coast Pro. That's where I kind of stepped up. I kind of made a mechanical issue. I started using my legs a little more then. Kind of got my velocity a little up, more consistent. But after that, I went to area code, kind of the same kind of outing. And I went to PG, and that was my last outing, and it was pretty good. So,
yeah, I want to hit on that really quick, Ralph, just before we jump into it any further. Yeah, I mean, we noticed this summer, PG National or prior to PG National, you were, more 88, 89, 91, kind of sitting in that range. And then, by August, you were more consistently 91 to 93. And as you mentioned, the inefficiencies were in your legs. And so how did you identify that? And how did you, I guess just get into your legs more to get a little bit more force?
Yeah, so I started talking to my pitching coach, Bill Cottle. He's with Boris Corp, and he came down a few times, and I threw a couple pins, and pretty much the big thing was staying in my back leg, kind of going down and then out and getting out far. And kind of just focusing on that because I really never really did that and focused on my legs at all. It was more my upper body. I extended out pretty well, but I never really got into my back leg. So I kind of focused on that.
And what kind of gains were we talking? Is it just in terms of like movement profile, velocity? Is it command? Do you feel like it's sort of, all across the board? In terms of those mechanical adjustments, what sort of were the ultimate culmination of all that?
I feel like it was just a lot of stress off my arm, really, ultimately. I feel like it played a big part in that, but not saying that I had a lot of stress at first, but it was just a lot more smoother, I felt like. But I feel like on my pitches, I had a lot more late movement as well. That was the big part of it.
Talk to us a little bit about what you're trying to do, what you're trying to do, where you're trying to go in the next year with your fastball. I know you and I talked a little bit off the air about, not pushing anything, kind of just letting your body dictate where your velocity is going to go. But is there a profile that you're looking to set up with your fastball? Because you've already got the command. Now it's just kind of, creating a profile and giving it that life you're talking about.
Yeah. So, I mean, right now I'm just trying to get, bigger and stronger. I have a lot of, leeway to kind of get, gain weight to my frame and, just get stronger. And I'm not really worried about it. It's something that I'll focus on when I get to weight, velocity or stuff like that. So I'm not really focused on one single thing right now. It's, getting a better body and stuff like that.
And I wanted to sort of jump in there and piggyback on something you just mentioned. Of course, you're a Wake Forest commit. Wake is a program that, I think we've discussed here on the show several times. Behind the scenes, it's sort of a program that I think, both Joe and myself and some other folks that work behind the scenes with us at Prospects Live kind of stand a little bit just because of the use of data, the pitching lab and a lot of the stuff they're doing just on the development side that's probably on par, if not better, than a lot of major league organizations. So is that sort of what sold Wake to you, was sort of, the environment that they have there that really is focused on learning and, improving players from the guys that come in to the guys that go out in the draft?
Yeah, so I committed my freshman year, and I really wasn't thinking about that, the player development part of things, but it really so was the coaching staff. But as I've gotten older, I've realized that that's really important, is player development, because my ultimate goal is to play in professional baseball and play a long time, so if I can go to Wake and maximize my potential, then that'll put me there, I think. So,
I'll piggyback a little bit off that. One thing that we like to talk about quite a bit is, and we kind of hit on it a little bit, is the data, the tech, the metrics, pitch shape, creating an arsenal, if you will. Is that something that you have used at all this year in trying to develop your breaking balls, or in trying to develop your fastball shape? Do you get on the Rapsodo? Do you do any of that work?
Well, I have once, and that was at the Wake pitching lab last fall, and I threw like one bullpen, and they just kind of got some data and got some stuff for me to work on, kind of just a little sheet. And but ever since then, I really haven't, got onto anything like that at all.
Already grooming you up.
Yeah. Yes, sir.
And it's kind of interesting because, I think one of the things that I really appreciate about you as a pitcher, besides sort of game performance and all those intangibles that we see, the fact that you're also, a big left-hander, that helps out a lot. But you have a really low release for being a tall guy that's 6'5". Based on your height to what your actual release height is, it's really unique. It's a unique characteristic in your profile that I think, accentuates a lot of the stuff that you do really, really well. I'm sort of interested. Is that something that comes naturally to you? Have you always sort of tried to drop down as much as you do? Is it something that, you didn't even realize that you do that well? I'm sort of interested to get your perspective on that.
Yeah, so I mean, I've really, it's always came natural to me. Whenever I'm throwing, I feel like I'm throwing, over top. It doesn't feel like I'm throwing down here. So it just kind of came natural to me. I kind of stuck with it. So, yeah.
Cool. One thing that I want to talk about, and we've talked about it on the show quite a bit, is just the sheer number of exciting prep lefties in this class. I mean, you're one of them. Brock Selvage is another one. You got Anthony Solometo, you got Gage Jump. I mean, the list goes on and on and on. Is that something that you've taken notice of, or is it just kind of a happenstance, if you will?
Yeah, I've always kind of been in competition of all of them, just because you want to be the best in your position, be the best pitcher. But yeah, I've taken notice of it. Like, I feel like there's me and Brock and Gage and all those guys were some of the best pitchers. I feel like we get unnoticed sometimes because all the righties throwing upper 90s or so. But I respect all those guys, and I'm actually good friends with a lot of them. So I wish the best of them. So
yeah, it's a talented crop for sure.
Let's sort of stay on that same topic, just within the prep class, a little bit more in general. Who are some of the best bats that you faced off against, over the course of the summer showcase circuit?
Well, Dalen Lau is easily the best bat this summer, in my opinion, because at area code, he had about 5 hits off me in about 3 innings. And then at PG, he had a hit off me too. And he was good all summer. But Brady House, I faced him last year. I mean, I feel like he's, the toughest bat I've faced. I faced Lawler a couple years ago. I mean, he's obviously one of the best too. So, I mean, there's a lot of good guys out there, really.
How about the flip side of that? Are there, I mean, you mentioned that there's righties that throw gas and the lefties are underlooked, but who's a prep arm that more people need to be talking about?
Well, I'm a little biased. I mean, Andy Painter's one of my best friends. He gets talked about a lot. Philip Abner, he kind of gets unnoticed sometimes. He's one of my good buddies. Trying to think. Kel Lansville, the guy. I think he's one of the best. But
we're very loud Philip Abner stands. At least I am. Yeah. I'm a huge Abner guy.
Yeah.
And the same thing with Lansville, honestly, as well. Switching gears a little bit here, are there any major league pitchers, guys that you've sort of modeled yourself after, or a guy that you've followed throughout your life that's sort of like your guy? Maybe there's things that you emulate about their mechanics or the pitch mix, whatever it might be.
Well, ever since I got to high school, Chris Sale was the guy that I got compared to. I'm not saying that I'm exactly like him because I feel like I'm different from him, ultimately. But I guess kind of him because that's who people kind of, compared me to, I guess, kind of the angle of my fastball and whatnot. But, yeah, pretty much him.
We've talked a lot about your fastball. I want to talk about the breaking stuff, man. You got a couple of nasty breaking balls. Love the slider. Like the curveball a lot too. And it's refreshing to see someone your age control those two pitches and spot them for strikes. How have you gotten to the point that you are where you're at now with those two breaking balls? Is it just repetition, or kind of what are you thinking when you throw those?
Yeah, so beginning of my summer, I just threw a curveball. And I guess I showed that in PG. I think that was the only one. I guess my first one. And after that, I started throwing a knuckle curve, which was, I got more speed off of it. It was a little tighter. But I started using that more. I guess I used that pretty much, just my slider in the last few events. I didn't really use my curveball. But in a game setting where I'm starting a game and I have more innings, then I'll showcase my slider and my curveball. It's kind of hard to do it within, a 2-inning or 1-inning kind of.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure.
Absolutely. Of your pitch mix, what do you feel what pitch are you most confident in right now? Is it still a fastball, or is it sort of gaining with the slider a little bit?
It's my fastball, but I have the same amount of confidence in every pitch. I've made strides in my curveball or my slider and my changeup. I'm getting a lot better with my changeup. I feel comfortable with that. So, but mainly my fastball. I've done that all my life. So, these few pitches I've had, they kind of came up late. So,
there's no escaping the fact that the 2021 draft is next July. I know you've already mentioned that you're looking forward to getting to Wake Forest. But I want to ask, between the next, over the next 10 months, what are you hoping to achieve? Kind of where are you hoping to grow? Where do you want to be, next June, next July?
Yeah, I mean, right now I'm just trying to focus on, my body. I'm trying to get a better physique, gain weight, gain the proper weight, in my upper body, my legs. And, I don't really have any goals, really. I'm just ready to go out in high school, try and win a state championship, and then apply to get to Wake, in the summer and start working and try to be the Friday guy my freshman year at Wake. So,
like that.
Yeah, that's a good goal.
That's
Absolutely.
a good one.
You said, I think, earlier on in the show, before the show, when we first got on, that you're sort of shut down for the fall. When are you going to ramp your throwing program back up? What sort of stuff do you think you'll be focusing on in the off season heading into the high school season?
Yeah, so in North Carolina, we're not starting until April. So I'll have a bigger gap than I usually do. I haven't decided if I'm going to start, regular time, probably around like early January, or if I'll just extend that back because we're starting about a month or two late. But now until then, I'm just going to try and get in the weight room, just focus on what I did last off season because I gained close to 25, 30 pounds. And hopefully I can do the same, just add the proper weight, so.
Yeah, 30 more pounds. That would definitely make you a new beast. That's for sure. Ralph, I don't have any more baseball questions for Josh. Josh, you got anything you want to bring up on the baseball topic? Or do you want to get into some weird questions?
We'll get into some weird questions.
All right, let's get weird. Ralph, where do you want to go with this? I know Eddie's kind of the cultivator of questions.
What I don't want to go back to the pit bull question because I feel like we've beat that one to death.
We'll do the food question.
Go for it.
All right, Josh. So if you had to describe yourself as a food, it can be anything you want. What would it be? But why does it fit?
I would say steak. I say that because I just feel like I'm always solid. I feel like I'm always ready to go. I don't know why that resembles steak. I like steak. That's probably my favorite food, but I just think it's solid when I think of steak.
That's a good answer. That's much better than What did Benny say? Benny said like a can of Pringles or something.
Of course,
Yeah, and then he went on a tangent about how Pringles aren't actually chips.
Benny's a character, man.
Oh, I love Benny, man. I love him, man.
Yeah, you guys will definitely face off. He's going to Virginia. You'll be Wake. Yeah, you guys will have some spirited competition. That's for sure.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
Absolutely. But yeah, I think that's it in terms of even the weird questions. I don't want to. There's no other silly questions we got to throw at you. That's enough. You ended it with the steak. I appreciate your time, Josh. Good luck over the coming months. Good luck in your high school season, and then next July in the draft. I'm sure we'll be hearing your name called very early. Joe, anything you want to say in parting?
I got nothing, man. We're a big fan of yours. Looking forward to seeing where you're at here 6-7 months from now, and looking forward to seeing 30 more pounds.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you guys.
For sure, man.